Hello, students at Bridges Academy. This is Miss Jung. Welcome. Just wanted to share with you a little bit of information about Cesar Chavez today, because today is March 31st, which is Cesar Chavez Day here in California. And it's a day to celebrate this hero who did a lot of really important work to support various workers and laborers in our country, and especially the farm workers here in California and all over the United States. So let's get started. Our hero for today is Cesar Chavez. Say it with me. Cesar Chavez. And Cesar Chavez has an accent on the E and the A, because in Spanish it's Cesar Chavez. And Cesar Chavez was an important man who worked really hard and got organized to support farm workers in California so that they could fight for basic rights and get good working conditions and higher pay for the work that they were doing on farms across California, whether it was strawberries or lettuce or grapes. So we're going to get started with learning about Cesar Chavez's life. Say it with me. Life. Life starts with the letter L. And the life that Cesar Chavez had was not easy, but he dedicated a lot of his life to helping others. So Cesar Chavez was born, say it with me, born on March 31st, 1927. That was 93 years ago. And he was born not in California, but in a place called Yuma. Say it with me, Yuma. And the state is Arizona, which is a neighboring state of California. However, in 1937, his family had to move to California because they lost their farm. So they had to move to California, and they became migrant farm workers. That means the word migrant, kind of like in Spanish with inmigración or migra, migrant workers, it means that they're moving. So what happened was he became a migrant farm worker with his family, which means that they moved from farm to farm wherever they could find work. And he worked really hard to serve other people, and he passed away or died on April 23rd, 1993. Let's learn about what are some of the things that he's done. So we're going to share some big actions. Say it with me. Actions. Actions. Actions start with the a sound. So it's going to be a. And shuns has the typical spelling T-I-O-N. Shuns. Actions. Say it with me. Actions. And actions are things that he did. Okay? So what are some important things that Cesar Chavez did that made him a hero? Well, one thing he did was he helped to organize. That means get people to group together, and he organized farm workers. He also marched with these farm workers to Sacramento to talk to our state government about changing the laws. Boys and girls, remember our teacher strike last year? So they march, and a lot of times we marched through Oakland. So they did a big march from Delano all the way to Sacramento, which is over 340 miles. So it was a really long walk. He also educated, that means he taught them, say it with me, educated, just like we are educating you. He taught them about the grape strike, and that was to have people not buy grapes for a while. Do not buy grapes, because the workers were striking for higher pay and better working conditions. And one other thing he did, this actually happened when he was much younger. He also helped to register people to vote. And it's really important, if you are a citizen, that you exercise your right to vote, because who you choose to be the leaders of your community is really, really important, because those are the people who are going to make the rules and policies around how things work. So really important that you vote if you can. Now let's talk about what he knew, because a lot of times heroes learn a lot of things and they have a lot of knowledge. Say that word with me. Knowledge. Knowledge starts with the na end sound. However, in the word knowledge, just like the word know, there's a tricky K. So it's knowledge. Say it with me, everyone. Knowledge. That means, what did he know? So he was probably a smart person, but he also worked really hard and asked a lot of questions and read a lot of things to learn so that he can do more to help people. And so when he was growing up, he learned from his mother the importance of helping the poor. So his family didn't have a lot of money, and his mother made sure that he knew that it was important, even if they didn't have a lot of money, to help each other. So he grew up with that value, or that piece of knowledge. He also, when he was growing up, learned to read and write in Spanish from his uncle. And at the time when he was a little kid, back in the 1920s and 30s, speaking Spanish in America was not something that people liked kids to do in school. Now we know much better, and we know that it's really important that we speak our home language and English and other different languages, because the more languages you know, the more you can communicate with others. But back then, it wasn't actually something that people thought felt very proud about. So it was really important, because he knew how to read and write in Spanish, which helped him communicate with a lot of people, especially the migrant workers. He also knew about how labor unions, he learned about how labor unions, labor means work, unions are groups of people that bond together and create asks and demands from their bosses so that they can get better working conditions. That means the way that they might get paid, or the types of breaks that they can have. So he learned that labor unions improve the way the workers live and work. So it improves, labor unions improve workers' lives. He also, when he moved to San Jose, he met a Catholic priest who helped introduce him to the nonviolent doctrine, or nonviolence, that he learned from reading about Gandhi, who was a leader in a country called India. So those are a lot of the things that Cesar Chavez learned as he was growing up, from his parents, his family, from things that he read in books. So he learned a lot of different things. And so why is Cesar Chavez a hero now? Well, a lot of his life and the way he lived in terms of the actions that he made and did, and the things that he knew helped to create lasting change. Say it with me, everyone. Lasting. There's that last L sound. Lasting. Change. Say it with me. Where else do you see the sound? Oh, let's see. Cesar. Oh, Chavez. Chavez. So has the spelling CH. So lasting change. That means that he made a change that has lasted. That means stayed even after he was gone. So the change lasted. And so here are some of the changes that he made through his work. He made sure with his work, he made sure that people got better wages. That means the money they get paid for farm workers. And to this day, the people in the United Farm Workers Union have much better working conditions than if they were not in a union. So they made sure that people got more money. He also worked really hard to help pass laws to protect these farm workers from violence. Because at the time when they were trying to unionize, people, the bosses and other people who disagreed with them used violence. But remember, Cesar Chavez and his farm workers worked under the idea of nonviolence, but he was also able to use that nonviolence to help create laws that protected them from violence and discrimination, which means not letting them get certain rights or access to certain things because of what they look like or where they were from. That's discrimination, and he help convince the governors and different lawmakers to protect the farm workers from that. And he also helped to make sure that there were other labor laws, not just for farm workers, but for various union members for basic rights. And this type of work around unions helping people, different workers, get basic rights is really, really important. Because even today, boys and girls, there are people who are working really, really hard during this crisis with the COVID-19, where they're working hard in fields like doctors or nurses or grocery workers or other people who clean buildings like the hospitals. All these people are working really, really hard right now, and a lot of them are protected by unions and some of them are not, like people who work at a grocery store called Whole Foods. And so those people actually picked today to go on strike, like we talked about, right? To make sure that they get better rights and better protection for their job while they're working really hard to make sure that people who need groceries delivered can get them quick. But because of what's going on, they want to make sure that they're getting their basic rights met, such as getting more protective gear and higher pay for the work that they're doing right now. So that's some of the impact that Cesar Chavez still has to this day, is lasting change in terms of the way people think about the rights that people have when they're working to make sure that they're protected. So this is just a little bit of information about Cesar Chavez. I hope you'll take some time to learn a little bit more about him when you're at home. You can read about him on the internet or watch some videos of his speeches. And just keep in mind, like, who are some other people that are your heroes? Doesn't just have to be Cesar Chavez. Maybe you have another hero. like Jackie Robinson, who was the first African American baseball player in the major leagues. When you're thinking about the hero, if you want to do your own research, you can always look for who they are, the person, that's who. In this case, it's Cesar Chavez. You can look for details about their life. That means what are some important pieces of how they lived, maybe where they lived or who their family was. What made them a hero? What are some actions that they did that made them, that created lasting change? And how did they know to do those actions? Those might be the way, the knowledge that they had, either questions that they asked or things that they read about and learned about that helped them make some actions that created lasting change and made a difference in all of our lives. So think about a hero in your life. It could be someone that you know that's famous, that you've read about, or it might even just be someone in your family. They can be a hero. What was their life like? What are some actions that they made? What or did? What some knowledge? What are some things that they knew, and how did they make a difference, a positive difference in your life or in the life of others? So, with that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you all soon.